There he is. There he is. Whoa. There we go, boys. Look at that, guys. Wow.
From Clewiston, Florida, Scott Martin.
What's up, guys? Scott Martin here, Bassmaster Elite Angler. I want to talk about my favorite 3 baits for catching big smallmouth. You know, I live in South Florida, but I do love chasing those brown fish all over the country, especially at Lake Champlain or the St. Lawrence River. But you know, there's 3 baits that I think are a simple choice to start with, and I want to talk about those. One thing you'll notice when you see my boat when I'm fishing for smallmouth, there's a lot of spinning rods rigged up. Probably one of the only times that I'll ever have more than 3 or 4 spinning rods on the deck of my boat. And that's because we're throwing a lot of finesse type stuff. My number 1 bait of choice is a Ned Rig. You've heard a lot about a Ned Rig over the last 4 or 5 years now. It just catches them. It just catches them. I remember back at Beaver Lake years ago fishing a tournament, and guys were talking about Stacy King and some of those guys from Missouri throwing Ned Rigs out there on those gravel bars, and us not even knowing what this was. But now this has really taken over, right? The Ned Rig. This is a Guggen Ned Rig right here. It has a little rattle in it, which is nice, a rattling Ned. And they're gonna rig that up on a small little jig head, a little 1/4 ounce or 3/16 or even 1/8, just kind of depending on how deep you're fishing. Obviously, the deeper the water, the heavier the jig head right there. We're here on the St. Lawrence River. This is a little 3/16 here, a little bit deeper, gets down, stays down. Line is real important on this technique. You don't want to fish heavy line. I like anywhere from 6 to 10 pound test. 8 is probably my preferred line. I use the P-Line Technical. It's really good. It's thin, but yet strong. And I use a high-vis braid that you see here. This is the P-Line high-vis braid 15 pound test as well. And that really allows me to see kind of what's going on with the bait, where my line's at, what the fish is doing. A Ned Rig is the number 1 choice there for catching smallmouth, because you can just kind of catch them everywhere on it, down deep, up shallow, around docks, whatever. You can even catch them sometimes suspended, just dropping it down to them. So that's the deal there. You know, just gonna shake it real lightly, pull it along the bottom. You don't want to overwork it. It's kind of like a shaky head. If you've ever caught a fish on a shaky head, you're doing the same thing, but just really just kind of shaking your line a little bit. Don't try to move the bait. Let the bait kind of, you know, do its thing. The way these baits are designed, they kind of stand up in the water. They kind of stand up on the bottom when you're pulling them, so they're sitting there like this a lot of times, pulling along, and that rattle is shaking. The smallmouth see it, and they cannot resist. So number 1 choice is a Ned Rig. All right, number 2 choice, drop shot. And the reason I chose the drop shot is because when they're not biting the Ned Rig, they'll bite a drop shot. It's kind of funny how that works. If they're not feeding on the bottom, they're kind of suspended, and the drop shot gets the job done. Rig it up a very similar setup. 15 pound high-vis P-Line braid, 8 pound tactical, little trocar hook, thread the Guggen. This is a little drag and drop right here. Thread that on. It depends on the weight and it depends on the depth, but anywhere from say a 3/16 to a 1/2 ounce tungsten weight, depending on the depth. And the same kind of rod, a little 7-foot medium light action rod. That'll get the job done for sure. Last choice right here, a jerkbait. You cannot go wrong with a jerkbait. Those are my 3 choices. So you can catch them on the bottom, you can catch them suspended off the bottom, and then you can catch roaming fish on the flats throwing this jerkbait here. This is just a suspending jerkbait. You're gonna rig it up on a 6.5 to 7-foot rod, rig it on 10 pound line, and hang on. Here's the tip for you. Fishing for smallmouth with a jerkbait, you're gonna fish it fast. You're gonna fish it extremely fast, probably faster than you've ever fished a jerkbait before. I'm talking about jerking it like crazy fast, hardly ever stopping. So there you go, guys. My top 3 choices for catching smallmouth: Ned Rig, drop shot, and jerkbait. Give these lures a try next time you're out there. Have some fun with it. Good luck.